When someone receives their first Reiki attunement, they usually know that something has happened, something has changed. They might feel some warmth or perhaps some tingling in their hands or a pressure somewhere, energetic movement, emotions arising, or perhaps a deep sense of stillness or a sense of just settling. Sometimes the biggest sign is a sense of fatigue and wanting to have a deep sleep afterwards. Sometimes it's a simple, clear sense that something has changed and they're not really sure what. And then people want to know what has just happened. They want to know what the attunement changed. They want to know what they should do next and what is normal to experience over the next few days and weeks. And that's what this video and this article are all about. So when people ask how a Reiki attunement works, they're basically asking, what did that do to me? They want an explanation that makes sense of what they're now experiencing following the attunement itself. A useful way to understand this is through resonance. I sometimes use the image of a tuning fork, and I don't have a tuning fork with me now to demonstrate this, but a tuning fork does not give another object a sound. It vibrates steadily, and anything capable of resonating with that vibration naturally finds the same note. In an attunement, the teacher is not trying to push energy into the student. The teacher's just basically holding a stable orientation, just like the tuning fork. The student's system then recognizes that orientation and reorganizes around it. Once that recognition has happened, it doesn't need to be repeated. It becomes a reference point that the student can then just return to whenever they wish. This is why the immediate experience during an attunement is not the measure of whether it's taken hold, whether it's succeeded or not. Some people, for instance, will feel a lot. Some people don't feel very much at all. I certainly didn't when I was first attuned. And both of these experiences are perfectly normal. For most students, the first time they actually know that the attunement has worked is when they place their hands to give somebody a Reiki treatment. Now, over the years of teaching Reiki, I've also seen situations that help clarify what an attunement is. For example, I once had a student who missed her class. She booked onto a class and told me right at the last moment that something had come up and she wouldn't be able to make it. And she asked me whether she could watch the class via a recording. And I agreed, but on with the proviso that we would arrange a live attunement as soon as possible once she watched the recording. So she agreed with this, and so she watched the recording of the class. Now, during the section where I had originally given an attunement, she experienced what was clearly a full and effective attunement process, even though that wasn't planned and I hadn't asked her to sit through that part of the recording. She did receive a live attunement anyway, soon after that, but she actually sat down through that part of the recording where I've got my camera turned off and the students in the live class are sat there quietly with their eyes closed, experiencing the live attunement. She did the same thing during the recording and also received an attunement. Now, I share that because it's informative and it calls for some careful thinking. It suggests that an attunement is not organized around distance and timing in the way people assume. It's organized around recognition and orientation. What matters in the example I just gave is not the delivery method, but what was established. The same structural change occurred as it would have done in a live setting. But what we can see is that Reiki attunements establish a stable reference point. Reiki practice is how students learn to return to that reference point and let Reiki function through it. Because that reference point is stable, it also carries the responsibility to integrate it through practice. So when this is understood clearly, how a Reiki attunement works becomes straightforward and practical. And if you want more context around what a Reiki attunement actually is, there's a separate article that looks at that aspect in detail, and you can find that on my Knowledge Center on my website. I'll leave the link in the comments below this video.